Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I hope you are enjoying the videos. For more insight on HR practices and real corporate world exposure, please subscribe to our channel, like the video and do share it with others. Also, please press the bell icon to never miss an update from HR Success Talk. Thanks a lot. Enjoy this video.
Managing data, this is something which is of critical importance to us, not only in the domain of human resource, but this is also going to give pointers towards overall crafting a business strategy that will be not only for the benefit of organizations to come in the future times, but it will also tell from intuitive and gut feel strategies to those based on objective measures and metrics, which are qualitatively going to make a very big difference to the way organizations will work tomorrow. Crafting a data management strategy. What goes into it? Data management includes all the processes for proactively collecting, organizing, protecting, storing, and sharing of data. So the entire process of laying your hands on data and ensuring that it is optimally stored and protected with every measure so that at the end of it, it can be churned and mined and made productive to get into proper strategizing is what is data management all about. Some of the key questions that we need to ask ourselves when we talk about data management is, are there generally gaps or overlaps when we talk about handling large amount of data? Do the data management activities align with the enterprise's overall goals? Because this is a very important subject which needs to be kept in mind, because if the alignment is missing, that whatever time we spend on using that data is an opportunity cost that we pay, because the kind of metrics and the kind of projections which will come out of wasteful use of data, which does not mean much to us, will actually preclude ourselves from doing anything significant with it. Last but not the least is the key data being used as effectively and efficiently as possible. Now, this is important because you can have data and more data. You can keep storing it till the end of the world. But unless you know how to productively cull out the main parts of the data to lead to metrics, to lead to pointers, to lead to directions that ultimately point towards a better organizational development, there is no way that you can make use of that any better. What is data management strategy, therefore? A data management strategy is an organization's roadmap for using data to achieving its goals. Very simple. You have a lot of data. How do you cull it together? How do you make sure that you create a drawboard which talks about every bit of progression that an organization takes with the help of that data in achieving its goals? This roadmap ensures that all the activities surrounding data management, from collection to collaboration, work together effectively and efficiently to be as useful as possible and easy to govern. It is the strong foundation needed for consistent project approaches, successful integration, and business growth. So let it be understood that big data is today the wherewithal or the fulcrum of good decision making, which not only helps in the space of HR, but probably every other cognitive thinking within the organization that helps in forming prudent strategies for better organizational development. What does data management strategy therefore help us with? Some common data challenges can be avoided straight away, such as incompatible, duplicate, or missing data from undocumented or inconsistently documented sources. So till yesterday, when there were no proper processes defined in really keeping big data good with itself or protecting it from any breach or security concerns of not being lost on anybody, we had no clue as to what was the kind or what was the quality of data that we were actually using for strategy making. Today, we can do away with that because with the help of a proper data management strategy, we are well assured that the data that we finally pick up for making use of organizational development and the kind of policies and processes that we define out of it are absolutely sacrosanct, protected from all angles. Siloed projects that use the same data yet duplicate the efforts and costs associated with the data. So there used to be all kinds of siloed departments operating as verticals, standalone verticals, almost operating like islands in an ocean. They used to make use of the same data, the same amount of data groups or the same branches of data, and yet without knowing that the same was being manned or culled somewhere else, and the inferences could easily be borrowed in order to give rise to other kinds of decisions at this angle. But because there was no awareness of that, different silos continue to make use of the same data, thereby making an abominable waste of time in that process. Data activities that consume time and resources but do not contribute to overall business objectives. So there are that kind of a data which can be classified as class A, which are definite to give you results once you start working with them. Then there are the other kind of data which are suboptimal. Okay, they may not be classified, but they obviously do not lead you to any such coherent strategies or cogent technologies because they don't have that material within them to lead you to proper kind of decision making. So if you have a proper data management strategy in place, these are the kind of errors that you can automatically do away with as an HR professional, thereby not only reducing the wastage of time, but also making optimal use of the data available to you. 5 steps, therefore, to an effective data management strategy are identifying first and foremost the business objectives, creating strong data processes. Now, these are really the two sides of a coin. One of the important things to know is in order to put in place an effective data management strategy, there are a few key things that anyway need to be there as precursors. The first one is our awareness about the exact business objectives. Because once we know what are the objectives and what are the goals we are working against, we will also know the kind of data from which we will get the kind of metrics and solutions that will help us in coining strategies towards that process. The second important thing is we know that we will use data, therefore to put in place important data processes so that the usage is optimal, the outputs are absolutely to the point, and effectiveness of decisions taken out of the data is guaranteed. The third important step is finding the right technology. So if you have the right data sets culled out through the right processes in the backdrop of knowing exactly what the organizational goals that need to be met, then the right technology is just another enabler that comes handy in giving you that efficiency in reaching to the final mile. Fourth, establishing data governance. And this is a very important part of data management today because data governance is nothing but looking after areas of transparency, of security, of quality, and ultimately privacy. Now, these are not just jargons, but as we go along, we realize that each of them mean something very, very cardinal so that the data is protected from every angle to remain of use for longevity and to ensure that every decision or every solution that comes out of that set of data is definitely to be put to good use. Finally, when you have an organization where people at large are working with data, people at large are working with processes, they are enabling those processes through the right use of technology, they are using data effectively maintained from all purposes, then what is it that you need to do? You need to therefore train the manpower into making good use of that data so that they execute in a proper manner. So these are the 5 steps that go towards making an effective data management strategy. Now, after we know that a data management strategy is such a key to an organization, who owns this data? The next important question is, how do we define data ownership? Sorry. A data owner can be defined as a person or an organization with the legal rights and authorities and the ability to create, alter, share, or restrict any piece or set of that data. Therefore, the data owner is completely accountable for the data within a specific data domain. This is important to keep in mind because this is different from a data scheduler. A data scheduler is somebody who basically supervises data on a day-to-day basis, but does not own the final authority. It is the data owner where the buck stops. They are responsible to ensure that information within their domain is governed across systems and lines of businesses. So it is the data owner who basically verticalizes or buckets the different kinds of data available and makes sure that every part of the data goes to the right segment or the right direction where the decisions need to be taken. So there should not be any confusion or any complications with data security or data distribution from there onwards. The third important thing about data owners, they are usually a part of the steering committee, but are either voting or non-voting members. It really depends on the position that the organization gives to its data management strategy. If it is placed high up in the hierarchy of decision making, and if the data owner is considered to be a principally important CXO level person, then that person can be a part of the steering committee with full voting honors. But if data management strategy is just an important process in that organization's progression, and if the data owner is considered to be definitely an important stakeholder, but not worthy to be counted at the board, he can therefore continue to be a part of the steering committee, but without voting rights of any kind. So this is an important part to be kept in mind, because a data owner is a very critical person in the whole labyrinth of relationships that work for an organization today. And this position, we feel, especially from the HR fraternity, we feel is going to get more and more critical as we become more and more dependent on data. Who are data owners, therefore? Data owners are either individuals or teams who make decisions such as who has the right to access and edit data and how it's used. Owners may not work with their data every day, but are responsible for overseeing and protecting a data domain. So just like what I had spoken about a little while back, it is the data scheduler who has the regular job of overseeing the use of data on a day-to-day basis. It is not the data owner's work of being the regular person who does the supervisory work, but it is somebody who overall has the complete authority of where the data goes and how it is actually put to use. Next important topic we need to keep in mind is ensuring data efficiency and data quality. Now, whether data is efficient and whether the data has the kind of quality that actually needs to be absolutely ascertained right up front, because otherwise it remains just a matter of wastage of time. High quality data, why is it important? High quality data will ensure more efficiency in driving a company's success because of the dependence on fact-based decisions instead of habitual or human intuition. Many a times we have probably heard in the yesteryears that many a times because people function was a lot based on intuitiveness and gut feel, HR professionals also were supposed to work a little out from the heart, which means that while their brain had to be cognitively tuned, many of the decisions the HR fraternity would give rise to would probably come out of their heart, which is more feeling based than anything else. However, high quality data has done away with that fallacy. High quality data ensures that not only are decisions absolutely objective and to the point as is important to an organization, but that they are based on fact-based decisions, on facts and figures, on factual orientation of information, rather than any kind of softer parts like habitual or human intuitions. The 5 characteristics of high quality data therefore remain: completeness, consistency, accuracy, validity, and timeliness. None of these concepts really need to be elaborated because they are self-explanatory, and each of these are absolutely critical for data to be considered as high quality. Research says on data quality that 33% of Fortune 100 companies experienced an information crisis by 2017 because of their inability to effectively value, govern, and trust their enterprise information. So by 2017, it was obvious that 33% of Fortune 100 companies had begun to feel the pinch because the data that was available to them and which they so very much depended upon did not have the kind of process orientation or boundaries and rules of usage that we have now come to be associated with. 77% of companies believe that their bottom line is affected by inaccurate and incomplete data, and hence the emphasis on completeness and accuracy as 2 important pillars of high quality data. This is a shocking statistics. Nevertheless, companies that do not focus on high quality data saw a revenue increase of 15 to 20% at the same time. Companies have witnessed a staggering 40% of their initiatives fail to achieve targeted benefits due to poor data quality. And nothing can be more proof of the fact that the taste of the pie lies in its eating. Therefore, it is a significant effect. It has a data accuracy, and maintaining high quality data and ensuring effectiveness is an absolutely significant part of operational efficiency. What about data efficiency? It's the process of making data easier to use, manage, and access. And this is an important part that we need to keep in mind, because not only is quality of data important, but making that quality come to good use by ensuring that there is an efficient way of handling data is also equally important. It is typically a concern of large-scale businesses whose extensive networks and records can easily render the process of finding and using a specific piece of data a bit like finding a needle in a haystack. Data efficiency is a trade-off, and this is as relevant in this particular area as it is to any other field where the ROI, or the cost-benefit analysis, finally justifies the usage. Data efficiency, therefore, just like any other, is a trade-off. It requires striking the right balance between the cost and the effectiveness. Maximizing data use, and this is important because the more data we use, the more factual, the more objective, the more process-oriented we become. It is a definite shift from empathic, it is a definite shift from intuitive, and it's a definite shift from subjective way of looking at decision making. So what do we do when we talk about maximizing data usage? Maximizing data use would mean a real-time feed of data to improve customer engagement and retention. Higher levels of data usage would enhance operational efficiencies, and this needs to be always kept at the back of our minds. It increases efficiencies without increasing extra investments. Now that's a definite win-win if we had one. How would it help careers? Nearly every industry today is improved with the implementation of big data, and similarly, every career field has got significantly enhanced when the ability to collect and analyze big data is added to the mix. There has been, look at the statistics below, there has been a rise in job opportunities in the field of big data management and analytics in the past 5 years. The salary of big data professionals, without quoting numbers, is any day higher than their other IT counterparts. Therefore, preparing yourself with big data skills will help you stay relevant and contribute towards the growth of your organization in multiple ways. Finally, a look at data formats. And I have primarily kept this very simple because in the time allocated, it would have been very, very complicated and complex to get into the labyrinths of explaining further how does data work, what can we do by churning data, and what are the various processes associated in doing so. Therefore, it would suffice for us to understand here that the kind of data formats that are available to us are basically selected based on what the organization needs to do. So there are several data formats to choose from to load one's data into the Hadoop Distributed File System, or the HDFS. Each of these data formats have their own strengths and weaknesses that finally determines choice for business. The data formats that we are therefore talking about here are text, sequence, Avro, Parquet, ORC, etc. And these are important. There is enough literature and enough reference points to understand what are the pros and cons, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using any of these formats. And these formats are finally chosen because of exactly what they bring to the table. So how to choose the right format? Choosing a data format is not always black and white. It will always depend on several characteristics, including size and characteristics of the data, project infrastructure, and using case scenarios. Therefore, it is not sufficient enough to just talk about choosing a right format on an intuitive basis. You need to have a certain amount of a background to be able to catch on to what are the prerequisites for having the right kind of format so that an optimal use of data can take place. And these three characteristics, or these three items, obviously lend us a perspective in that direction. With that, I come